Hello, Hellola, Hellola a todos. Hello. Thank you for coming to watch the rest of this video. I have switched the music. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a different playlist. And it's from somebody who said that we can use it in our Twitch, we can use it in YouTube, we can use it pretty much wherever as long as we credit them. I guess not wherever, but you know, Twitch or YouTube for live stream or on YouTube. So it is by TheRelaxedMovement. It is 12 hours of DMCA free and copyright free music, lo-fi chilled beat. So I will have that link in the description if you're interested, because you know, that's how you give credit. So without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and continue with this drawing. And actually, as soon as I say that, I remember that I have a couple of other things open that I wanted to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into. So the first part is up here. You can see I have different things. So this one is our Pekora fan art that we've been working on. If I click that, it's the one I'm on right now. This one is one I'm working on. I'm hoping to get the line art all set for a video next week, but we'll see how it goes. But I wanted to show you a preview of what I'm working on just so you can see the other things I'm drawing. So this is, as you can see, Calliope Mori. This is what I have so far for her. I haven't quite figured out if this is going to stay. I don't know if I want her arm out like that right now, because I can't really think of what I want her to be holding on to. So I might change that a little bit. But anyway, it is her birthday on the 4th. So I figured I would draw this for her. And then this last one over here that I want to show you guys, I know I teased it on Twitter a little bit. I am working on a new me. So this here is going to be different. And this is what I'm working on so far. So as you can see, I don't have a whole lot colored, but I look like, and I haven't settled on that hair color either. As you can tell, it's a lot more orange than the one I have. I'm still working on things. I literally just started coloring this. But you know, a quick preview. It's the model. Oh, super exciting. Consider it a bonus extra to see the behind the scenes process while you can. Because someday I'm gonna have like, I don't know, 10,000 people and they'll be like, wait a minute, you've always looked like that, and they won't even remember this. Someday. Dream big. Follow your dreams. Big. So anyway, what I did is I elongated the eyes a little bit to make it look a little bit more like how I pictured it in my head. And then I also merged everything onto a single layer. You see everything's there. I kept my sketches just because I have a tendency to do that so I can reflect on the process. Like I started with that one, man, that looks so different. And then I had that one. Now I've ended on this one. That's pretty typical for me. Usually when I look back through, I can't believe I started with the lines that I started with. Anyway, no need to waste another moment with this. Go ahead and get started. There we go. First thing I do want to do is move her over a little bit so that she's in the center frame. See, anything I drew off the page shows up. So if you wanted to move things, you wanted to play around with them, you wanted to make sure things, if you don't lose the things that go off the screen, they're still there. That looks... Oh, and a line out there. That looks okay. Sort of wonder. Sometimes I like to play around with things like this. See, like, do things look more interesting. Oh, that. Slide into the void, Pekora. Slide into the void. Anyway, I don't think anything looks more interesting than what I have, so just gonna move her over. Yeah, I think that looks good. Hey. Now, oh, I have to. So sorry why this keeps happening. So sorry, so sorry. Okay, now I have a tendency to do skin colors first. I want to find the exact right colors for Pekora. What I'm going to do is I don't necessarily need everything. So I'll just take like a swatch of this image over here. I think you can see what I'm doing on paint, right? Yeah, I selected that. I'm gonna paste it in here as web. So it's on its own layer. I can move it around. I can do whatever with it that I want to. The only purpose this serves me is so that I can pick the correct colors for her. It does look like I didn't, oh no, I did, okay. I didn't manage to get white on her hair, but I did, it's right there. Okay, cool. So we'll keep this here and I'll name it color swatch. Because you could just start like making colors until you found something that worked and was right. Or you could just take it like straight from a reference. Do the thing, saves you time. Advice. Pixel. Brush a bigger. Yeah. Now to start, starting's always the hardest for me because as you go, each of these colors will be on a different layer, and when they're on different layers, that means you can be a little bit messier with your coloring and you don't have to worry about it bleeding over into a different part of the picture. So for now, everything is going to bleed everywhere. Okay. Later on, for example, like this sleeve will be colored or the skin will be colored, so I don't have to worry about coloring over with the sleeve. Things like that. That's the advantage of working that will not be with layers. Okay. And then down here, if you see her tight, it actually looks like it stretches a little bit more over her skin here. So it's a little bit more transparent there. And it's darker here. So I'm gonna do this and color her skin color there. And then later, we're gonna come over it with the tights color. We're gonna color over it and make it kind of transparent like that as well. Ah, man. I would say that it's gotta be allergies, but I don't have allergies. At least not like that. I do have allergies that could get me into the hospital for not being able to breathe. But not the summer, spring, pollen kind. And also there are no flowers out yet anyway, it's way too early in spring. So, I don't really know why this is happening. It happens mostly when I'm streaming or recording. It's possible to notice it a lot more when I'm streaming or recording. Now, one nice thing about Pekora's design, it doesn't actually have that much of her skin. Nice. Mostly nice because the skin is usually the part I find the most tedious because it's the first one I do. So I'm glad to be moving on from it pretty quickly. I knock over my can of soda. Usually I don't drink soda for videos or streams either. break and just had lunch. Decided I wanted a soda. But then I decided I didn't want the rest of it, so it's kind of just sitting there. That's future Kiaran's problem. I'm out and basically all I'm doing right now, all I'm doing now is I'm just cleaning up the base of the skin. Usually I come out and erase all of this, but I think I actually won't today. And because these eyebrows are hair, we're gonna erase out that too. Here, I don't know if you can really tell, but I can see that I erased too much, so I just went back in to recolor it in. A lot of this stage. Good news, like I said, is I find this the most boring part, and we're almost done. My favorite part is any time I get to add shadows and blending. Often my favorite part of anything I draw, adding the shadow, highlights. Basically, making things shiny and dark are my favorite thing. The Usagi's ear. This is Pekora's other arm. So I'm going to leave that the base color. So it's pretty likely I'm going to end up coloring it in darker, whatever tone the shadow is. I got everything. That looks like. Alright, nice. So now that this layer is covering everything I want it to cover, I'm going to hit this button, which locks the alpha. I think I've explained this before in other videos. And if you notice, like I just did, something that you forgot to erase, you can still erase when you lock that alpha, you just won't be able to draw back on it. So if I wanted to like put that back, I can't do it. So this means the only thing I can change now, I can change the color of the layer. I can't add anything to the layer that's already there. And shadows like this. So to start, I do the really basic shadows, which is anything where there's like fabric up against it, or anything like this where, you know, the head's on top of the neck, over here where the hair is, here. I'll add those shadows first. Those are the really basic shadows. Then, after I've done that, then we start to think about like, where are the more complex shadows? Where is the sun in this? Where is the curve of the face? All of those things. Most of her legs will be in shadow. In fact, I'm gonna say pretty much all of her legs will be in shadow. So, have this for our basic shadowing. Come in this as well. For now, we'll just make the whole thing, because the next part is we have to decide where's the light coming from. So for here, it seems like the light is coming this way down. That means we're going to pull the shadow out a little bit more. People's faces round. Her cheeks will be here. She'll have shadow starting here. This side, actually, although I put a lot of shadow, her hair will still be the same. But although I put a lot of shadow here, this would have the most light. This would have a lot of shadow because it's going to be her nose casting shadow on her cheek. Come back in and do that. Leave some shadow there on her brows. This will have a lot more shadow, but this part will have a little bit less. And since the sun is coming from here, probably something like this with the shadows too. And up here we'll have less. So for now, eventually we will add some of the highlights, but for now I'm just going to come in and erase shadows. And again, there won't be too much going on here. Maybe a little bit of reflected light here, but being really honest, I haven't really practiced what reflected light looks like, so I'm not super great at drawing it. Now, this next part we're going to do is we're going to make those deep shadows a little bit deeper. So I'm going to come find a darker shade shadow. Now doing again, come in and emphasize shadows here. And one thing, if you notice what these colors are doing, getting deeper, and they're also shifting away from the oranges. So her first initial skin tone is in the oranges, and as it gets darker, it's getting more red. There's a lot of thoughts and rules about how this should work, but basically the idea is that you, to make it look more interesting, will shift the colors as you go. Shadows tend to get warmer, lights tend to get cooler, and I mean cooler and warmer in relation to the color wheel. So this is more orangey, it's a cooler color compared to red, which is like the warm color. It's still a warm color, they're both still warm colors, but it's a warmer color. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to make this really low opacity, and I'm going to take this default skin color, that a little bigger, come in, round this out. The idea is not to get rid of this line, just to kind of blend it. Like before, this is just a first pass. I do that a little bit, I will make it a little bit stronger. It a little bit. Starting to turn into a nice gradient between colors. Still tell that it's there, not as overpowering. And I'm going to do that for all these areas with the lightest color turning into medium mid-range color first, to kind of get that smudge going. And again, art is really subjective. This is how I like it to look. That doesn't mean this is the only way to do it. I really like soft shading, gradual blending. There is absolutely nothing wrong if you wanted to do the same thing and do harsh lighting. Totally equally valid. The beauty I find in art is the soft transitions. So now that I feel pretty good about that, and I might come back and do more later, but now that I feel pretty good about that, I'm going to take one of these mid-range areas and do the same thing over here to the deeper tone. And it's okay if it interacts with the lighter tone a little bit too. A little bit, that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for something to combine it all. Okay, that makes it really pleasing. I especially like here. I think this is a good example of what I look for and what I like, because it still has its sharp edge. You can tell when the dark tone stops, when the lighter tone, but it also has a softer. And do that up here as well. One thing I'm noticing, besides the fact I should say because I haven't yet, is when I came through earlier, this blender made this part light. Come in, my brush, get small, and just very gently put some of that dark color back here. And I may or may not blend that depending on how it looks when I pull out. Sometimes when I'm not sure, I decide I'll leave it until the end. If I still notice it when I'm wrapping up the picture, then I'll go in and touch it up. So that's the skin. Okay. A little bit here. I was debating. I will add a little bit here. And that is just a little. Working in a small area. There we go. Okay. So that's that. Should probably move that soda before I spill it everywhere. There we go. Okay. So that's that. Next, I think I'm gonna move on to hair. Pekora's hair is very interesting because it has a lot going on for it. It has the 3 different colors, the white you can see, the blue, and then there's also here a little bit of like airbrushed lighter tone, and I can explain how that's made a little bit. We're not there yet though. For now, I'm gonna name this hair base. And if you notice, when I made it, it was above the skin. I'm gonna drag it below the skin. The reason for that is what I was talking about earlier. For now, I can come in, still on the skin base. I can do this and see how it won't do anything to the skin. The only thing it does is there's white here, or empty space here, so it will come in and do stuff there. So I'm gonna go ahead, just pretty loosely and roughly here, color in her hair. Sometimes, like over here, you can see spots on the layer that you thought you erased well that you didn't. So I'll get to that. For now, I'm not being super careful with her hair, not really trying to avoid going, there we go, in the, out of the lines, just kind of going for a fill. Okay, and now I'm going to come back over here to our reference picture, and if you see, her hair also at the top is kind of whiter, so her ears are going to be white. That doesn't mean, like I mentioned in other videos, that we're going to just leave it uncolored though. We're going to come in this blue, the color here. So now we're going to do that thing where we lock this layer. Now I'll make it even closer to white for the fluff there, and also starting here. There. all of this will be white. A little bit up here. I like that. Now I'm looking over at her picture. Looks like it does get a little bit lighter. The base is down here. Not completely white. Closer. So that's the basic, very basic, unshaded, unhighlighted hair that she has. The next part, she has, look at, almost white. So I went all the way to white and then I pulled it back just a little. She also has these spots here. So it's this part right here goes in there. Then it comes out here. And then comes back there. 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 And is in that one right there. On that side. On this side, top one. And it's this one. That one. That one. Again, this is just the most brief of passes through. Intent here is really just to make sure that I have an idea where the colors are going, they're doing. And now I can come in. And even before I do any of the highlights, big but very transparent brush and just kind of swoop this in a little bit, get it a little bit smooth transition. The idea is so that the gradient looks a lot more natural and a lot less like an artist had an idea. more like this is what her hair is supposed to look like, and less like I just decided I wanted to do something fancy, I suppose is a better way to put it. I do want to do fancy things, but this is also just what her hair looks like. I'm pretty happy with that blend. Now I'm gonna come do the same thing. Now, usually what I would do for someone's hair that's a little bit more like consistently colored, not multiple tones like Pekora's is. I don't like that. Like I just got sloppy instead of it being her hair. So I'm gonna make that actually high opacity and low size. Like pull it this way and it starts to look like hair strands or part of her hair. There we go. Okay. So now what I normally would do at this point, I would use like a selector and do that and go, okay, I want shadow, we're gonna make that cooler, that's more cooler, and then darker. But actually what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to use black. Make it low opacity. And I'm going to keep this blender tool on. So that opacity can stay 100 because this is how opaque your tool is. See how it makes a very clear line when I draw it? This is how dark the layer is, or how opaque the layer is. I come in. We have the sun coming from this way. Things on this side be darker. I'm gonna come in and start adding shape. This. I would say if you're interested in doing this as well, you're trying to figure out how to add hair texture to your hair. Best bit of advice I can give you is simply practice, because you have to watch what works. You have to look for things that look like how you want it to look. It is a difficult thing. It's tough to get something you feel like really represents how you want it to look. Honestly, I wouldn't say that I often end up with what I wanted to have, but I can usually end up with something okay. Now, I'm going to be extra conscious because the sun's here. This side of her hair is going to be darker. So this is a very basic beginning, very mild texture that I'm starting to add. But if you see, if I take it away, you can tell it's already contributing a lot to the picture. So now, this is going to sound kind of strange, but I'm going to do that same really large, really opaque thing here. Blend it in, just like I would before. This is one of the parts I think is really cool. Looks like I'm not doing anything, or like I've just undone my work. But if I get rid of it, it's really easy to see. It added a lot. It doesn't necessarily look like it did, but it did. Save that. And I'm gonna make a whole new layer. This time, I am going to do that thing I talked about. Make this cooler that way. We're gonna come over here and go to the pixel. I'm gonna make it pretty. The idea for this, we're just gonna get depths of color. These are the parts that'll be darkest. Inner piece here, this back part of the hair, back part here, underneath her ear, these parts, darkest. Done that. There you go. This part would actually be the darkest because the sun's there. This whole part would be the darkest. And some up here would still be pretty dark because her head and her body will be in the way. And here. And even a little bit the backing of her ears. Now, less opaque. There. Now, I'm gonna leave the color smudge. Again, really big, really opaque. Put it out. I'm going to do with this layer is I'm also going to go back pixel. I'm going to erase. I'll keep it fully opaque. I will come in tablet pen. Do gentle, gentle, gentle erasing. And because I blurred everything earlier, this will work to kind of lighten it up a little bit. As you can see over here, that got really light. That looks good. Just it to make it a little bit lighter even. Yeah, and even that little bit we did there made a huge difference. See, if you remember, this is where we started. Added that black. Now we added some shading. It's the shading, black. So when I feel pretty good about something I have, I tend to save down. So now the only hair that exists is this one right here. Now, we're gonna add some highlights. This were a bigger picture, I would probably do some more details like you can see in her braid over here where she has like a dark patch because that's like a strand showing where the strands are. But this is a little bit of a smaller picture, so I'm probably not doing that. This highlight. I tend to do two different kinds of highlights. The first, like a super broad, like where will lines. This is just a curved line, the shape of the hair. It's going like this, I'm making my lines like this. It goes like that, I switch to go that way. Even the back part of hair, where there's not a lot of light, that will still have shine, reflecting off of other parts. All of this will have some shine. Will have some shine. Usually, I work with darker hair. More highlight to have here isn't as much like working in the same brightness. So this, I will admit, is different for me. Oh, nice. Now I'm gonna do the same thing, doing on all these other layers. Very, very light, very big. Less big. Come in, blend it around. Now as you can see, what that does is it makes it go from this giant choppy thing, more integrated hair. Of course, any highlights, we're then gonna have to come in. We're gonna have to do really careful low lights. Color, and I'm gonna go dark. It's on its own layer. Switch back to the pixel. Smaller this time. This is more in like the nooks. More of the deep. Don't think I want to do any up there. Do a little bit of detailing here. A little bit more. Some back there. Some over here. A little bit. This kind of thing, I think, very easy to overdo it. Looking for perfect amount of detail. One of the things that's been really tough for me, especially, sometimes, as much as you want to give more detail, less actually is a lot more. It tells people a lot more interesting piece. You don't have every single detail out there. It's tough for me in particular. Do that same color smudging, very opaque, big. For the most part, we're gonna follow the direction the strokes are going in. Notice I'm moving the way my pen is going. It is distorting the color a little bit because when I'm doing this blending, I am using the color that I just. So it's not just a smudger, it's like a smudger blending into other colors. Oops, that was too far, I think. Still want some of the texturing I did there. And although I haven't found perfect mix yet to draw what I want to make my picture like, this is basically more or less the process. Doing like those highlights and adding things, you keep back until you end up with something that speaks to what you were looking for. For now, for the purposes of this one, well, I'll keep it like this. Fun. Now, the problem that you can see here, if I select opaque, which is everywhere that I've colored something, there's a big mess, kind of everywhere. And that's one of the more stressful things about hair, well, like anything, honestly. So deselect for now. There are solutions out there, I don't know them. Still, more in this world for me to learn, but I know I've seen people do really cool things. Like be able to immediately get rid of this excess, like no problem. I don't know how. Someday someone's gonna see this video. They'll give me the answer and it will be probably months, days, or years. Could be years later. You know what? Be very grateful for the answer. Whenever I get it. Okay. So for now, this is good. Communicates the idea we're trying to communicate. It's very messy. It communicates. To come through. And I'm going to erase out what I can. If this process takes too long, I might attempt to see if I can erase it, like not erase the picture, but see if I can skip this process somehow in the YouTube editor, because I think you can cut out parts of clips. But I may be misremembering, but maybe this doesn't take too long. Maybe I just forgot. Yes. For now, maybe in the interest of continuing the video, we will continue on. I'll do some basics like this. Make sure that our next layers can be colored on. Like, we still have to color the carrots in the hair, we have to color her outfit. Got the bow. Maybe for now, what I've got. One of the other things that surprised me about drawing when I started really focusing on it and trying to get really good at it is that a lot of it kind of your viewer to come up with. So, like, you don't put in every bit of detail because the viewer's eyes will eventually interpret lines the way you intended them to if you get really good at drawing. I noticed it a lot in some of the Hololive people's models. Things get interpreted the way that the artist clearly wanted. But then when they're a really big model, they zoom in a lot and you get up close. It's really easy to see the lines that were used and everything. It's just one of those really cool things. Okay. The last. I think that's okay for now. It's a little bit messy. I'm definitely going to come through and clean it up later. That by using a selection tool, like I'd probably use this one and start tracing outlines. Like once you've gone as far as you want to, you just like come out here, a big eraser, and just like erase it out like that. That takes a long time. I'll do that for the final image, and then I'll post that final image to Twitter. For now, I think we'll move on. Next, go to the ears. So for the most part, these are fine. I just want to add a little bit of this pink. I think what I want to do, I want to give it a clear defined line. Her model has a clear defined line. And kind of dot it up a bunch. Show that there's some pink left. Velvety pink rabbit ears. All in here. Then make it a little bit smaller, come in here. Left from the side of the line. Down here. I'll just leave that. It's good. All the way up to the top. Streaks. over here. Grab some of this much darker. Like before, I locked the layer, so now I don't have to worry about going that. Really like that. A little bit. Somehow, starting to look a little bit like a watercolor, which I think is really cool. I'll have to remember that next time I want to make something watercolory. Yep. That part. Probably the next part that would make the most sense is moving on to her dress. I just realized I have my alarm set, so oops, sorry, I'm hitting the microphone all over today. Give me one moment to shut off my alarm. Because it will go off very loud, kind of mess with our mood a little bit here. I let it go off. All right, there we go. So sorry about that. I don't know if this is common for a lot of people, but for myself, I have this tendency to set, like, I don't know, mild warning alarms where it's just like, hey, nothing in particular is happening right now, but you might want to know that something could be happening. So here's an alarm at this point, just in case. Kind of like one of those, like, if you haven't checked to see what's going on in a while, you might want to do that. I don't know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Even as I'm describing it, it makes no sense. That's okay. Anyway, I grabbed the shading. So what I'm going to do for the dress is a little bit different. For ear, the new Sagi. I'm going to try to stay basically in the lines. I might go a little bit out, like over here. Basically, this. And just get the whole thing more or less colored in with something. The reason for this is because in the end, everything is going to have some sort of color. And some of it, if you look at her design, gets pretty close to perfectly white. I want to have color established already. Now I'm going to come in, erase the parts where the new Sagi is. Or a little colored on new Sagi. Without that carrot. And I'm going to add in up here. I think that's all of the dress. Yes. Okay. Now, start shading the dress itself. This, because it's a big fabric, and everything that has the sunlight on it is going to make a sharp angle right there. Same will be here. I know some of these things will be different colors later, but for now they're all sharp angle. now for the parts that will be more crinkly in underneath her arms, where she'll create shadow with her body. Make that neck. Might use that for the sleeves. I forgot to do that. Stayed in the lines pretty well. This come under the hair too. Just come in and color parts are folds. Now, lighter part. Grab from up there. Alright, now like with the skin, to make that nice smooth position, color smudge, make it big, too big, make it less big, less big. I have this second color on my color bar, so as I do this, I'm going to start blending with that. I'm going to take this really dark color. I'm going to come back to my brush, just a little bit bigger, just add it in. Not going to worry about it all that. I am going to add a little bit down here. That's a part that's curving more toward us. This helps to add fusion of depth. Darker colors in there, I'm still using that mid-tone. Get a super smooth feeling gradient. There we go. Now, and I'm going to make this a lot smaller because I'm working on just the sleeve. Same concept applies. The surface is much smaller. The process is now we're going to make a new layer. I'm going to name it Dress Detail. Oh yeah, you can. Right above my dilly bopper, the little wavy headpiece of my hair. There, looks like I'm pointing to it. Anyway, so this is Dress Details. This is where we're going to do the things like on the picture. If you look over there, I'll pull it up for myself. How these are like different blues there. This is a blue. I thought that was a lot darker blue than that. Partially why you get a reference picture. She's a little snow rabbit. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna come back out this blue, so it's gonna match. Let's match that. No, it's a lot closer to these blues up here. Okay. This, we're gonna pixel smaller, full opacity. Add time, because it is something on the dress, I am being very careful. Really love everything about Pekora's. I think it matches her personality really well too. I'm certain there's not a single person who's watching me who hasn't heard of or been watching Hololive. In fact, for most of you, I would hazard a guess Hololive is how you ever encountered me first place. But if you haven't, for some reason, and this is the first you're hearing of it, you definitely watch Pekora. The other detail I see that I did a little bit differently on mine, this line here. So for her design, if we look over here, it's just a line that's that color. Yeah, not gonna do that. I'm just gonna color the whole thing. I am gonna make the pixel size a little bit smaller so it fits. There we go. Difficult to hum along with a song that you don't know. I didn't put any of ends here for that. Oh, that's there. Okay, and like before, out with the details, we'll make the shadows a little cooler, a little bit bigger. Our shadow is right here. A little bit there. And just a little bit here to give it some texture. This isn't really a 3D part of her dress. Kind of just a design. A little bit darker. A bit there. A little bit there. Now, and color smudge. But this time, because I want this to be really subtle, I'll take the lighter color. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do big blending, make it hard to distinguish at what point it stops being. For that purpose, I'll make the opacity a lot stronger than I have been for the other piece. The idea isn't to turn this into like a beautiful blended fade. It's just to add a little bit of subtle texture. There we go. Okay. Make more dress details. And this will be pockets and darker part of the sleeve texture there. Back in thick. And while in purple, just take the blended color darker. Blend that really gently. There we go. Nice. Okay. So this one, the pockets that are darker, button, and this other thing right there. Soon we'll be pretty much done, so before we know it. Just have the carrots, the eyes, dawn, soggies. Almost there. Feels weird to say Chan because I'm not speaking Japanese. Feels weird not to say Chan because then am I talking about someone named Dawn? There's do her tights. Don't worry. For long. Got for a little bit. Those button. As a little bit of a center. I think I drew it the wrong proportion. I'll just do that and that will fix it. Right. But I have this, I'm gonna do the same thing with pocket. Darker parts. But I'm also going to make a very light part. Now, together. Shaping up. I like it. Okay. Carrots. Kind of the same situation going on. Really dark parts of the carrot. All the carrots. Then there are some really light parts of the carrot. Reference. Okay. There we go. A lot smaller. I'm gonna drag it below the dress since I erased out all the dress stuff. Although apparently not as well as I thought I did. Save time, I'll bring it above the dress, but below the detail layer. Maybe above the detail layer, because I just realized it's below the hair too. Okay. Well, that's okay. At least the carrots are small, so this isn't too much we have to worry about or work with. Such a good character design. So good. I love it. I love it. So good. Now, what I've done with this one, different than what I did with the other ones, is I started with the darkest color. Now what I need to do, good mid This one. Then that, perfect. Now it's getting light again from this direction. Really weird stuff for this stuff. The hair will be blocking here, so this will be in shadow. This tip part will be entirely not in shadow, but the side of it will be. So it's a very strange way that I've chosen. Now, pick lighter colors to come in. And even a few little carroty highlights if I can. There we go. See how those are yellow? It's following the same rule. There. A little bit. Now we're gonna pick this nice medium color for the carrot. Carrots right now. Gently. Thing with blending that you lose a lot of detail, but you keep a lot of feeling. It is a bit of a trade-off, and it's important to know that when you leggings, which I guess kind of by necessity have to be top. So what we can do for this, because we've already done the skin where we want that color to be, we can select opaque, then on this new layer, come in our legging. See, hoping using the opacity tool. There we go. It's kind of strange when opacity tool it is moving things around. That's how it opacity the blender. You see it is blending, so that won't work as well as I hoped. This part out. What I'm gonna do is just erase out all these parts. Won't be covered by the legging. I was trying to do it earlier, but anyway. Okay. Nice, yeah, and that ended up looking a lot like that. Now all we need to do is lock that layer. Now we're gonna select that color. It's a much smaller area. Now we're gonna do the same dark brown. Tracing here. Now we can try blending that. see how the colors are starting to pile on each other. Texture. Save that. And leggings. Now, back to the carrots. This carrot greens. We're really in the home stretch now. It's done. You can almost see what it's like. It's almost colored. She almost exists in the world. Full color. Almost. Carrot greens are below. It's Pekora's papa, maybe? I don't know which is which, but the one who drew her got to pick the colors. They did a phenomenal job. It's really just incredible. Really. We're gonna do the same thing here. Color smudge, very light, rather big, not that big though. Pull the colors around a little bit. There we go. Alright. Oh, I forgot the Usagi's carrot. Oh no. Poor Usagi. Alright, we can fill it in right now. Here, little Usagi. I forgot about you, but not forever. Since there's no greens there, we don't need to worry about that. Just come just a little bit lightly. Won't be too much because most of it will be under Pekora's hands. There we go. There you go, little Usagi. Another dress touch-up. And make a new layer. I've noticed is this dark underside of an outfit where normally there's no light or dark. I haven't done that yet. Put that in. And make that a little bit darker. Just to really accentuate that it's underneath. There we go. Right. They're very nearly done. Next, it looks like gloves. Looks like for her, her gloves are pretty dark. Grab her back together, except I didn't. There. I feel like black. that up there for now. You can merge those though. I think they're straight. Purple spectrum. Either way, for our purposes, they're going to be. Just come in. Make these black. I forget her gloves on the other side. Those gloves on that side will probably be light actually, because the part we can see is the part that's hitting the sun. Or that the sun is hitting, I guess. Your gloves don't hit the sun. We're gonna have a couple of different pieces for these gloves. We're gonna have the really dark part underneath. She has there, that's almost black. That'll be here where there's no light, a little bit under the finger. There. Thumb is under that. Little bit on that other glove over there. That's the highlight of maybe more brown, reddish. That's here. Maybe on each finger a little bit. Definitely more of a highlight light. It's not full color. That okay. Now I feel pretty good about that. We're gonna come in low opacity, bigger but not that big. Make it that default middle color. Blend. After doing the first sweep, I want to make the opacity a little bit bigger. I'm going back and forth like this to kind of feather the difference between. A little bit gentler on the gloves because I actually like being able to see where I put the brush. I'm gonna get rid of that entirely. There we go. A little bit left. Don't think I grabbed any colors that work for that, so we're gonna start with a darker and a lighter. Insert this way down here, and it will be Usagi. Start on their mouth. In case you were wondering why I had bright pink. Oh, I guess I'm gonna bring it way up because I forgot the hair. And this is one of the reasons it's really important to blend stuff out and erase out. I could, if I'd already done that, I could. Haven't done it yet. Until I do. Can't just like make up where I imagine it probably ends. I haven't erased it out yet, so I don't know yet. Like that. This much. There we go. Smaller and a little stronger. Also come back its default middle color. There we go. Okay. Usagis are basically white. I'm gonna pick light. I think I want a little bit more living tone, a little warm tone to match the cold tones that Pekora has. I'm just gonna erase that hair real quick. This should be pretty simple. Just erase it out, like right there. Okay, there we go. Now, bring the new doggies. Yeah, it is. Okay, awesome. There we go. It's a much easier fix. We can bring them all the way down. Nice. This is the advantage that I'm talking about. Once you've done all the other layers and you've erased them, gotten them nice and neat. Just left with this really easy drawing, because you can just kind of like make wide sweeping motions like that. I do think too pink, yeah. But I'm gonna finish it out in this pink, and I'm gonna show you a cool trick you can do if something isn't the right tone for you. So like he's way too pink. There are two things you can do. One thing you could do is you could just select him and then color over him on a different layer in a different color you do want. Or you could change the color in an edit. I might do, because he's a very pink bunny. I might come up here, find the tool. I don't use it that often. Bench. Here. Edit. Filter. Colors. There we go. You can do that kind of thing here. But I think what I'll just do, mess with it that much, I'll make him there, this, and I'll insert a layer below. I will select opaque, and below him, this is the one time I'll use white. Let's color in. The reason for that is because you'll have a solid white back here, which means no matter what your background is, like for example, if my background, I have to select, my background was solid white, or solid black rather, with this white layer, he'll have that color, but if I get rid of the white layer, he's transparent, because all we did was make this layer more see-through. So instead of being like a light white, it would be sort of ghosty see-through. We're gonna do this layer back, we're gonna merge it down, and we'll merge that down. Now we have our entire bunny. This a little bit lighter. This new. I will erase him out so that he looks better. Then I think now that we're basically finished, I will have to do the hair, because it's just making the process more difficult than I had anticipated when I said I'd leave it till later. But we are almost at the end. Could also just do this for now. Finish up and clean it up for posting on Twitter. Yeah, we're almost at the end. I may as well. So, what I will do, layer 49. Oop. Oh. thought that noise was my soda finally falling, but it was actually the controller. The way that I do these videos is I will basically spend all day recording. So temporally, this is happening right after the near stream that I did. Now I'm gonna come in. Hair bows. In Ireland. I love this bow. Like this bow shape. So cute. So cute. There's one. There. Now I'm gonna lock those. Now, come find a lighter color. I'm looking over at her image over there. Reference where I have. Light will be up here. Have it come in like that. Then have it be a little bit, it'll be there. And the same side, it'll be over here. A little bit there. A bit there. Now, like always, lower opacity. Nice and okay. Blend this as well. That looks so nice. Ah, it looks so nice. I like it. Oh, I love it. Okay. Oh, it looks so nice. That bow looks so good. Okay. Now, we're basically done. We have the fur for Dawn Chen, the fur for the gloves, and the fur for the bottom of her dress. But I kind of like the way the dress is right now. We'll come in and we'll do Dawn Chen, also kind of pinkish, sort of like the new Sagi. Always very pinkish according to that. Okay. I name it Dawn Chen and gloves. Pixel again. This actually below the new Sagi. And what I'll do later is I'll erase out all this hair stuff we can't see behind. But for now, I'll do this. Now, fluff, the lighter fluff. Now, brighter fluff. I think will be harder to see on Dawn Chen. Has a lot of darker stuff on here because he's underneath her neck also. He's underneath the neck mostly and under her hair. And has like new Sagi up here. There's a lot going on for poor Dawn Chen. Finally, favorite part, anything, eyes. Hair is like my favorite starter point. Like eyes, man. Okay. Save that. Now, we can do a lot of layers if we want to be like really complex about it. I don't particularly. Not this time anyway. Oh, pieces almost go together. I'll leave her there. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with that really bright yellow. No, that's not where her eyes end up in the end. No, that's really more of the highlight. I think it's a good base color for now. Do that. Again, it's hair. I'm gonna come up to the hair. I'm just gonna erase it out of this eye. And now, because I've already colored yellow underneath, when I erase it, it ends up looking like I'm coloring it yellow. Okay, now I have the yellow. Next, I'm gonna get kind of like orangey looking, orangish red. Still on the eye layer. Come in. Everything except that bottom chunk. This color. By itself, this looks very strange and un-Pekora-like. Really interesting to see that the colors that are actually used are more like yellow, red, and purple. If you asked me her eye color before this, I probably would have said brown. Okay. Like every other time, come in. Same thing with the eyes that I out. This time we're gonna make little gentle circles. Just to expand the colors and get them to blend with each other. Oh, it looks so nice! Okay, and now in a new layer, I'm gonna go back purple, but this time I'm gonna pick the purple they picked. Very dark purple. Come in on my new layer. Very light little lines. Start to build in. Oh. Nice. Nice, nice. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna insert another layer for the shinies, and they're gonna be almost but not quite white. One thing I love about Pekora's eyes has little rabbits in them in the center. This is too close for us to really get that detail in, but it can still be there a little. For the eyes, there are technically rules you can follow in terms of like where the shines would be, how they would look and such. For me, I feel like just kind of making it up itself. Shines wouldn't really be in these parts of the eye, but I think they look really neat. They are, so I'm gonna put them there anyway. Now, one other thing we can do underneath this layer we just did, and I'll pull it down a layer. It's behind my head, you can't really see it, but I have that red. I'm gonna come make a really bright pink. Now I'm gonna make a big pink circle right there. And down here, I'm gonna do the same thing where I have a yellow one. I'm gonna make a big yellow circle. What I'm gonna do with these, super light. They look like they're a shinier part of the eye. Opacity. Very good. I'm gonna make them full opacity. Blend them a little bit. The issue I'm seeing is they look too sharp. I think it's fixed. Blend them. Oh. Go. Have a perfectly acceptable drawing. Pekora. One last thing I might do is just like a final touch up. Although this isn't on her model, come in blush. Not quite. Not opaque. What I'll do, because blush is typically on your cheeks, like over here. Just start pink, smaller for the other side. There we go. Okay, I will fix this up and put this on Twitter, so thank you very much for watching.